Welcome into Side Sessions here. Steven Strom, Jack McMullen, special guest Marlins pitching coach Daniel Moskos in his old stomping ground. Is it fair to call you the mayor of this place?
No, definitely not fair to call me the mayor. I was just a contributing piece to an operation.
What was it like, first of all, walking in here on the other side? Is this the first time you've been? We are, by the way, in the visiting bullpen. Is this the first time you've been here?
This is the first time I have stepped foot in the visiting bullpen. My time in Wrigley as a player was 2011, and the bullpens were still on the field back then. So this is my first experience with an indoor visitor bullpen. But it does look pretty similar to what we got on the other side, so not too different.
Mid-2010s, I saw Aroldis Chapman doing the weighted ball routine on the on-field bullpen, and it was awesome because everybody was asking, and there were so many articles written about, like, what's this guy doing? It's so unique. And then they decided to put it under the bleachers. It's just perfect.
It really is perfect.
It's amazing.
So what are some of the emotions? I mean, what did this place represent and sort of evolve you into now the pitching coach of the Miami Marlins?
I mean, this place is special. To me, it's, one of the top couple ballparks around the league. This, Fenway, some of the places that have true history. It's just special. There's something different when you walk up those dugout steps and onto the field. Like, I don't know, you just feel like you're following in the footsteps of so much baseball history. And then, the fan base in Chicago is incredible. The attendance and fans at every game is incredible. Like, it's a really, really special place. It really means a lot to be back here.
What made Miami the right opportunity for you to leave a special place like Chicago? Obviously, you cut your teeth at the major league level with this team, right? As a coach, and you were at Driveline, and then you made your way through Charleston and Somerset, if I have the timeline correct. But in Chicago, that's probably where you grew as a major league pitching mind. What made Miami the right opportunity?
You're 100% right on the timeline and my past work history. I think it was 3 years of being an assistant, learning from in my opinion, one of the best pitching coaches in the league, and Tommy Hotovy. And I think he built me for this moment. All along he had told me, he's like, my goal is to help you develop as a coach and ultimately get to run your own thing one day. And, it just felt like it was probably the time. I may have been able to be ready after year 2, but I think it would have been a real struggle because there were still things that I needed to learn and areas that I needed to grow in. And I feel like I accomplished a lot of that last year. And, as we got into the off season and teams started calling about some different interests, it felt like the time was right. And if that had happened the previous offseason, I think I would have had a lot more questions and doubted a lot of the decisions. But this one, I didn't really think twice about it. I mean, obviously I talked to my wife and family and made sure that the move made sense for all things considered. But at the end of the day, this is what I'd been striving for, and tough to pass up that opportunity.
For a lot of players, it's pretty clear what they have to work on, going from year 2 to year 3. Hey, I need to shore up execution of a certain pitch, or hey, I need to hit certain pitches better. But as a coach, that's a pretty abstract thought. What do you feel like you're ready for now that you weren't ready for after year 2?
The big part was in-game management. It was something that I wasn't really exposed to a ton in the first 2 years. Definitely pretty much zero in the first year. The second year, I was present for conversations to hear how the manager, bench coach, pitching coach would talk about potential moves and what their counter moves would be. And so you started to get a feel for that. A part of the pregame meetings with the manager, where we talked through different pockets and how we want to, deploy our relievers. And then in year 3, I was, there for every single conversation. Tommy was asking me for my input on when we would want to, who do you like here in this? We're between this guy and this guy, like, who do you like better? And so I started to get some reps there and started to feel more comfortable in that. And it certainly helped this year in the early going with being able to navigate some of those in-game management things.
Well, it's been awesome watching guys like Max Meyer. The bullpen, I think, has been a bright spot with Bender, Enriquez. It's been awesome to see those guys. But us media, of course, we want to start with the negative.
Yep.
And everyone, we put out a tweet, send questions for Daniel Moskos, and everyone, Sandy. If you had to give us a pie chart of why you feel Sandy hasn't performed to what we think Sandy is, what would the slices look like?
I think the comeback from injury, I don't think it's a detail we can just gloss over. Like, I'm not going to put blame or make excuses. But Sandy was a guy who thrived on execution and command. And coming back from surgery, a significant one like Tommy John, execution and command tend to be the last thing to come back. you return to health, you feel strong, you usually return to your normal velocity, which he has shown he's capable of. Now, it will be hit or miss. Like some days he's going to have probably 95, 97, and other days he's going to have 98 to 100. And that's another, you have to take inventory each day, each start of what you're going to have on that given day. Something that was encouraging, at least if we're going to isolate something from yesterday, is he started out the game mostly in the 95, 97 range, and then you saw about the fourth or fifth inning, he started to tick up to like 97, 98, grabbed 100, and you started to see him get a little bit of that swagger back. And I think that's a decent segue to talk about like the mentality of coming back from a surgery. Like, there are still questions, like, you're back to full health, but are you back to full performance? And so that's two different things that you talk about in the return to play from a surgery is he returned to being healthy, or is he returned to being performing at the level that he was prior to injury? And I think that's the discrepancy here, is he's just not quite back to where he's at or where he was previously. And maybe there's, a little bit of that uncertainty of like, okay, like this needs to turn, what needs to change, what do I need to get better at? Earlier in the season, it was certainly like pre-2K in zone rate with his off speed, getting him into some bad counts and then having to leverage the fastballs in those counts and, giving up some barrels. He was much better yesterday in the race to two strikes, which is getting to 2 strikes before 2 balls. And he had a large number of punch outs as a reflection of that, which I was very encouraged by. Like, he was able to get out of the zone with 2K. He was able to get to 2Ks pretty quickly and efficiently. So encouraging trends there. The Dodgers start before that, he was like 78% first pitch strikes, which is something we've challenged him on. And so the pie chart for me is confidence, swagger, the execution and command coming back, and then his changeup. I think the changeup is like, it's been Sandy's bread and butter. It's performed well in like early and mid counts, but he hasn't had the execution that he has in the past in 2K counts, so that's something that we're definitely tackling in between his starts as well.
I'll throw it to Jack in a sec, but I feel like, and you answered my question, because the last 2 starts, the Dodger one in particular, was 2 pitches to Freeman and I think it was Ohtani, and then yesterday it was the curveball to Elko. But it feels like he's trending in the right direction. I was going to ask you what the signs were, but you sort of already answered it.
Yeah, it feels that way to me as well. After his first Dodger start in LA, there wasn't a lot of positivity to talk about. It didn't seem like there was a positive trend. For him to then face that exact same team the next time around and look like a completely different version of himself and be on the attack, yes. 2 Hall of Famers put 2 Hall of Fame swings on 2 pitches that yielded 4 runs. Sometimes you have to tip their cap. Elko, the ball he hit yesterday, I mean, he had his doors blown off on 3 straight heaters the at-bat before it. It was a 1-0 breaking ball. I mean, tip your cap to the kid. First big league hit, first major league home run. Like, I hated it. I hated every second of it. But it's tough to be hard on Sandy for that one. He threw a 1-0 breaking ball for a strike to a power middle of the lineup bat, and he clipped him. And I mean, the ball it was 5-10 rows deep. I mean, it wasn't like a mammoth shot. Like, it just, sometimes when the going is tough, it's really tough. And I would love to see him get on a roll, and then he pops that thing up, and it's a fly out to the left fielder instead of the game-changing home run, and we can come away from a start feeling really good about it.
Yeah. Sandy, one of the kind of like the buzz phrases that we've rolled with so far is Sandy said after a few starts ago, he said, I want to get back to Sandy mode. And we asked the question, and it was kind of abstract. What do we think Sandy mode looks like? And we asked Sandy, what does Sandy mode look like? And he said aggression. What does Sandy mode and aggression mean?
That's the swagger and the conviction that I was talking about that I started to see in those like later innings against the White Sox.
And is that an Arsenal thing? Is that an execution of said Arsenal? Like, we've seen him get away from the heater sometimes in his starts.
I would say, it's just trusting everything that you do. Okay. It's not second-guessing pitches. It's not thinking that, was that the right pitch at the right time? Was it the wrong execution? It's, I'm convicted in this pitch. I'm getting after it. I'm giving the hitter my best version of it, and the results be danged.
Okay, gotcha. I'm curious about just kind of some overarching pitching philosophy thing, because I think it was a couple weeks ago, I sent you that article from Mike Petriello on MLB.com about Andrew Bailey talking about fastball usage and how the Red Sox were kind of the first mover last year on diminished fastball usage. And now we're seeing the Marlins tick in that direction. And the whole idea that Andrew Bailey was saying was, what do hitters slug against? Well, they slug against fastballs. So why would we throw fastballs all the time? If you don't have a good fastball, throw it less. Where do you guys differ from that thinking? Where do you guys align with that thinking?
I think There is certainly an alignment with that thinking, and I think baseball is heading in that direction, not just organization by organization, but like you are seeing fastball usage from a global perspective trend down year over year over the past, 8 years in a row. I think it's trended down every year. So I think you're seeing baseball catch on, but I do think that there are bumpers to these types of things, right? Like if you have bad fastballs, throw them less. But at some point, you also have to protect your off speed. Sure. There's a throttle game. Like the end of the day, the number one goal of pitching is to affect hitters' timing, affect their perception, and affect the decisions they make with the bat in their hands. That's ultimately the job of the pitcher. You can accomplish that in a number of different ways. Some guys have bad stuff but are really deceptive and really good at executing. Some guys have really elite stuff, terrible at executing, and they just throw enough strikes. Now, usage, like for us, philosophical-wise, we build robust arsenals. We want to develop the best stuff possible, and we want to flood the zone with it. Simple, like easy said and done, right? Except not so fast. It's not that simple because you have 13, sometimes 18 different pitchers in a given week that you might roll through, and all of their arsenals are different. Their usages are different. How they want to attack guys is different. And so it can get a little bit muddy. I think in general, the goal is to not be predictable.
Sure.
And I would say like it's possible with where we are at right now with our fastball usage, we have gotten a little bit predictable. I think you could sense a trend in the Dodger series and in the White Sox series that they were sitting kind of soft late. They were expecting us to just like flood non-fastballs later in counts. And so like if you're paying attention to the trends, like that's probably something we should pay attention to and probably make an adjustment on. Gotcha. It's hard without the resources. Like we don't have a usage model currently. Sure. It's in production. At a future date, we will have guidance on like what our exact usage needs to be. I don't think you're ever going to see us be a 60% fastball usage team, but I think we do probably stand to need to get our fastball usage numbers up.
Gotcha.
Wow. That's good. Yeah,
it's awesome
like
stuff.
A master's class in pitching.
Okay, so where did you learn to talk like that? Because you were a top 5 overall pick out of Clemson. Did you learn that when you really cut your teeth at driveline? Did you learn that during your playing career?
I wish you could know just how little I knew about pitching when I was a player.
Really?
If I could have survived as a player another 3 years, like I could probably still be playing just because of all the information that was out there. But I was a guy that always had potential and talent. And I just never really understood or had the tools to be able to refine it, the resources to be able to refine it. And so that's kind of where like what's driven my coaching like fulfillment is just not letting guys slip through the cracks. If there's another Daniel Moskos out there that just needs a little bit of help here or there and can potentially take off and be something special, like that's worth it. It's worth the time. It's worth the energy. It's worth the blood, sweat, and tears. And like, I would think if you ask around to our pitching staff, they would say that like I pour myself into them because like that's my ultimate goal is to make sure I'm giving them whatever it is they need.
Who are some of those guys on this roster that you're really proud of?
I mean, the offseason that Max Meyer had was incredible. I'm really, really proud of him. It's been a really fun time with him. Ryan Weathers attacked everything from all angles. Like
Wednesday night, baby.
I know. I'm really, really excited to get him back. He loves pitching. He is a baseball junkie. Yeah. And so he's always wanting to talk baseball. Being away from the game is the hardest thing in the world for him. So really excited to get him back. Edward Cabrera is another one that jumps out as someone who is really turning the corner in what he's committed to on the execution and command front and just wanting to be in the zone. Yeah. Like he is fully committed to it, and it's really cool to see. And then, let's see, who am I missing? Beozo, my goodness. Like that start against the Dodgers,
amazing.
Tremendous.
Amazing.
He touched 94 with his fastball. He came into the dugout after. He's like, I haven't thrown 94 in years. Like, he was so fired up and excited. But, I mean, he looked as good as I've ever seen him in that start. He's been incredibly impressive. And also one thing that, like, most fans probably don't pay attention to, but, like, it hasn't been consistent with him being up here either. Like, he's come up, made a start, gone down. Been down for 2 weeks, come back up, and every single time he comes up, he is ready to go. He's ready to take the ball, and he goes and competes his tail off. Pitching coaches love that. It's incredible.
It feels like especially the last couple series with the Dodgers, even Cal, I thought through probably that or Atlanta. I would say the Dodger series or the Atlanta series was probably his best 2 outings. But I guess overall, from just a pitching perspective, from starters to bullpen, what have been the pros? What have been the cons?
So we're trending in a good direction in the execution front, like being in zone, being better in count leverage. That was something we dug ourselves a really, really big hole with. Our command and execution was not good, had to get better. As a pitching group, we challenged our guys that, look, this isn't sustainable. It's not good enough. Like, it has to improve. And kudos to them. I mean, this past series, the third game of the series kind of drug our first pitch strike numbers down, but we had like 4 or 5 consecutive series we were better than league average at first pitch strike rates, better than league average at pre-2K end zone. So like the stuff that we really care about, that we feel like is going to yield improved performance, like we're starting to see guys fully commit to it. Yep. We're starting to see that. And so proud of them for taking that challenge and running with it, making progress. I mean, Ronnie Henriquez in 3 weeks' time went from, I think, a 50% first pitch strike rate to now he's our reliever with the best first pitch strike rate on the roster at 64% overall. Like, he has done a tremendous job since we challenged him, and that's just one example.
He's nasty.
He is nasty. And there's a lot of other guys who have answered the call. So, I don't want to leave out names, but like, I've been proud of them. I'm impressed by them. We still have work to do. Yeah. We still have to keep getting better. I do think it's time to maybe flip some usage stuff around that I think could help benefit these guys and even give them a better chance at improving their count leverage. And yeah, go from there.
Daniel, 2 quick ones from me. A third time through the order, we obviously see offensive numbers tick up.
Yep.
If they see a pitcher a third time in a plate appearance, how much validity is there to that, and how much do you guys adhere to, we want to protect guys from third time through?
Yeah, there's certainly validity to it. It's a case-by-case basis, and it's always going to depend on what the roster construction or lineup construction for that day is. You know, if you have a right-handed starter and you've got Kyle Tucker and Michael Bush at the top of the lineup, like, it does incline you to be thinking more about an exit strategy. Sure. Whereas if the top of that lineup is more right-handed dominant, you maybe let the starter go out and you take it batter by batter and you try to work him through that lineup the third time and just make sure that you don't overexpose him and try and make that calculated decision. There is enough credence to, like, the third time through numbers. They do spike. It does get worse. There's ways to combat it. Lower pitch counts, not diminishing your stuff, like holding velocity, holding pitch shapes, holding non-fastball velocity as well. Like, those are details that you can think about. But, at the end of the day, it does really come down to, like, how you can pocket your relievers, what you have available from the bullpen that day, and what sets you up best to win. A general concept that we talk about is banking leverage. And so it doesn't have to be that we try to save Anthony Bender for the 9th inning. The biggest out that he might have to get in that game might be in the 6th and bailing out the starter against the toughest bat in that lineup. And if that's the case and we feel like going into the game that could possibly play out, we let Anthony Bender know ahead of time that, like, hey, we might launch you in the 6th today because it might be the highest leverage moment of the game.
Got you. Last one for you from me. You got 24 hours in Miami, non-game day. What are you doing in Miami?
Oh boy, 24 hours, non-game day. I need to go to the beach.
Okay.
I need to go to the beach. I haven't been to Miami Beach or South Beach yet, really? So it's probably about that time that I make an appearance.
I understand. You'll see Steven there.
Yeah, you will. I dominate my off days.
Make sure you put your sunscreen on.
Yeah, my wife makes sure that I do that all the time.
Mine too.
Yeah. I hate that you just went non-baseball because I have one more baseball.
No, that's fine.
We can circle back to baseball. Totally fine.
Okay, one more for me. A couple days ago, with Max Meyer out on the mound, there was a little bit of a discussion with the umpire with Augustine Ramirez. I'm curious to know, is that more Clayton? Is that your role? And what are the conversations like when you have something like that where obviously Max, being the competitor he wasn't happy, and Augustine Ramirez, a rookie, sticking up? Are we calling it sticking up, or are we calling it he's got to relax? What were the conversations like?
I think I'll call it enough is enough. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to get into specifics, but it was bad. It was really bad. The accuracy of balls being in the zone called strikes was bad. It was bad that night. And eventually Augustine Ramirez had enough, and he wanted to make a change, on it. We try to take that off of the players' plates. We don't want them interacting with umpires.
Sure.
We want them to let us handle it. Let us fight your battles for you. You go focus on what you need to do to get as many outs as possible. So that was the conversation with Max after the fact. It's just like, look, don't let it get the best of you, because then you're letting the umpire beat you twice. He's already taking away strikes in the zone for you. Now you're going to let yourself get off your game, and you're not focusing on what you need to do to be really good against the White Sox. So I think that was a good learning lesson. it's an unfortunate growing pain for Max, but I think he'll be better for it in the future and hopefully be able to manage that situation a little bit better next time out.
We'll see Max Meyer over the weekend against the Rays at some point. I'm not sure if it was confirmed when it will be, but we will see him. I think we're good. This was awesome, man.
We're
Thank
good.
you so much for doing this. We really appreciate you. Daniel Moskos, Jack McMullen, Steven Strom. Side Sessions, we will talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.